All right, welcome to the Primalista panel. It's a once a year event, and this is the 2024 episode. It's part of the virtual open week that's running this week. So on Tuesday, we had an info session, how to create a successful bake from home business. Hopefully you've checked that out. And then tomorrow we've got a bake along, but this is my favorite. I'm so excited because I get to hang out with the Primalistas, and I think it's more exciting because I've actually met two of these Primalistas IRL, which is very rare for someone who I don't go very far, and I'm 6 hours south of Perth, so it's a bit far to go anywhere. But I've met the gorgeous Primalista Neroli, who we've got here today. Give us a wave from Perth in WA. And I've also met Tash, and she's in Queensland. And I went on a very unusual trip to far north Queensland last year to do one of Jo Whitton's quirky cooking retreats. I think she's got another one coming up. Really good, highly recommend. And we were also joined by Primalista Bronwyn in New South Wales. Give us a wave. And Jen, who is having a few issues connecting her video, but we'll hang in there. So great to have you here, live attendees. Don't forget that at the end of today's session, I am giving away a door prize for one lucky live attendee of some delicious Primal Alternative products. Who knows, one of the Primalistas here might even bake them for you. So we've had the questions coming in. I've got some questions compiled to ask the Primalistas today. But if you do have any questions that come up while you're here, you can just ask them in the chat and I will pose those questions to the Primalistas. All right, so that's enough blah, blah, blah from me. And we'll get started with the first question, which really is not in front of me. So let me just open it now. It's live, you know. It's definitely live. There we go. The questions. Right, good, got it. So the first question that I've got for the Primalistas is about starting out. So I want to know, what motivated you to become a Primalista? How did you get started? And yeah, just give us a bit of an insight into that. And I think we'll start with Bron.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I probably stalked Helen for 2 years and followed the whole option of becoming a Primalista. I studied at the Nutrition Academy with Cindy O'Meara in Queensland and became a nutrition consultant, started up my own little practice being a health coach, and just found that didn't sit for me. So then went and got a real job working in real estate, and after 12 months of doing that and dying slowly, I'd had enough and I quit. And I called Helen and had a chat, and it just felt right in my heart. It just felt right, and it was something that I felt. I loved cooking. I loved being at home. I'd homeschooled my kids. It just seemed like a natural what's the word I'm looking for? Progression towards into doing something like that. And talking to Helen, she made it all sound very easy.
And is it?
It is.
Oh, good.
It is.
Phew, phew.
I'll give you a wrap later.
Love it. Love it. So funny. Okay, well, let's go to Tash, because you're next along the line on my little Zoom tiles here. So what motivated you to become a Primalista, and how did you get started?
Well, I've been using the products for a number of years before I started being a Primalista. Again, I was seeing all the ads to, if you want to become a Primalista. Then it came for me to get like Bron. I needed to get a job, real job, and thought, what the heck? Just dive in and ask to speak to you, and that's what I did. And yeah, best thing ever. And I didn't really want to work for anyone else. And I wanted to pick my hours. My husband's away a lot, so that meant if I did get a real job, then I probably wouldn't be able to spend the time with him. Got a daughter at boarding school, so also got a fair bit of time on my hands. And yeah, it just suited me, and just the whole business model and what it's all about just aligns really with my values and the way I eat, because I was allergic to a lot of stuff, gluten-free and nothing. There's no decent gluten-free food around, and yeah, it's the best.
I love it. And Tash is a chef, actually, in your prior proper job. Yeah, how long ago? Tell us a little bit about your chefing background. You don't need to be a chef
that
to
was
be a
a lot.
Primalista, do you?
No. That's very, very long time ago. Actually, when I hated school, left it in year 10, and obviously my parents said you had to get a job. So loved cooking, got an apprenticeship, and then I got ill. Couldn't do it. I got to my 4th year. I said, that's it, I can't do it anymore. So, but I still loved cooking and love it more now that I'm older. So yeah, baking I do love. That's my favourite.
Yeah, me too. Love the smells going around the house when you get something in the oven, especially the fruit toast. That smells so good.
Oh, absolutely.
So nice. And I remember having the Primalista call with you, Tash, and it was the very start of the year. I think it was last 2023, and you were like, yeah, going to get into this business. And I was like, right, well, here you go. You might as well join. And you're like, oh, well, I didn't think it was going to happen that quickly, but all right then.
No, it didn't. But no, anyway, it's worked out very well.
Good. Awesome. All right. And over to Neroli. Tell us, what motivated you to become a Primalista?
Well, I wasn't actually looking, and I just saw that there was some information about some food that I thought I would like. I'd never tried Primal Alternative before and never really heard of it. But then when I went to, it was one of the, I think it was during this week. So one of these information things 2 years ago, I jumped on, and it just grabbed me. And I thought, oh, wow, this is cool. Can't wait. And then I won the door prize. And so I got to try some, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And from there, it was simply like, it was just I knew I was going to do it. It was exactly what I wanted to do. I love everything that is offered here. And I love that I can offer it to other people to encourage their health as well. It was a matter of getting my husband over the line. So it wasn't me. I was ready. I was like, yeah, let's do this. But yeah, I had to convince my husband. And he joined me for an interview that I had, just looking into what it would mean. And then, yeah, he was convinced as well. He said, yeah, this is exactly what you should be doing, Neroli. So, yeah, and I've kept my other job. I just I just do a little bit of teaching and a little bit of this, and it's just the right balance for where I'm at.
Yeah, nice. I like that. I like to, you know, for people to realize you can do it. You know, it doesn't have to be a full-time job. Most Primalistas are baking 1 to 3 days a week and doing it in conjunction with something else. And you've got your teaching, that's your first love, and then this is your other love, which is great. That's so cool. And even it does hurt my feelings a little bit that you're in Perth and you hadn't heard of Primal Alternative, and I'm in Albany in Western Australia, and I'm like, everyone's heard of it in Perth, but you know, there's people that haven't heard of it and who are just longing to come across something decent that they can eat, right? So that's
absolutely
cool.
I meet people all the time at the markets, and they say, oh my goodness, I've never heard of you, but this is awesome. And they just try every tester there, and they say, oh, I want to get everything. Like they're really, really excited. So they just, yes, there's just not enough of us to get the word out.
So true. And that's why we're here today, to try and rally up the troops and get some more people. But I think it was Jo Whitten that that you saw. I think I did. She's really kind. She's a very good friend, Jo, and she loves, like, since 2017, which is like pretty much from when the very beginning of Primal Alternative, when I wanted to, you know, get to speak to more people. I asked Jo because Jo, you know, she's into real food, she's into homeschooling, families, and trying to, you know, create a little side hustle, doing something that you're passionate about, helping other people. So it was so perfect. And she's been such a good friend to our brand, and you know, talking to everyone about us. And yeah, so shout out to Jo. We love you,
Yeah,
Jo. Thanks for that connection. So good. All right, let's go to Jen. So we've got Jen and Victoria. Tell us what motivated you to become a Primalista.
Yeah, so hello everyone. I guess my story starts back 3 years ago when I was on mat leave. I didn't want to go back to work after having my baby. And I actually started a business, a small business, hoping that it would generate enough income for me to, you know, not have to go back to work on my own terms. That unfortunately didn't sort of succeed. So I had to close the doors there. But I had that sort of like that need to have my own business. I just didn't know what. I then heard H on the Additive Free Lifestyle podcast, and it just sort of ticked all the boxes for me. It was like a light bulb moment for me. You know, the Primal Alternative way aligns with everything that I believe in and aligns with my values. So yeah, called up H, and that was in February, and then a couple of months later started baking.
And here we are. I love that. I
Yep.
love that so much. And you have another job as well, don't you, Jen? So this isn't your...
I do. No, I have a 9 to 5. I do that 4 days a week. And then I bake roughly about twice a month at the moment, just while I'm sort of finding my groove and juggling everything, with the sort of aim to ramp up the business, and eventually when my little one starts school, I can sort of cut back my hours in my corporate job and be more present for, you know, school drop off, pick up, you know, event days, that kind of thing, and still be able to, you know, provide, you know, financially to the family.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, let's have a look at a day in the life of a Primalista. This is really super trending. I don't know if it's just the things I look at on Instagram, but a day in the life. It's just like everybody wants to know, what does it look like for you? So can you, we'll start with you again, Bron. Can you walk us through a typical day in your life as a Primalista? And I think what I'm quite keen to hear about is, how do you balance baking with your other responsibilities like family, animals, another job? How does it all like work for you?
I think the thing that I love the most in regards to a typical day for me is that there is no typical day. I literally just make it up as I go along. I start off thinking I'm going to have a plan, and Mondays is going to be my office day, and that's the day I'm going to do all my Facebook reels and posts and my batch numbers or my ordering or whatever. And in a perfect world, that's how it happens, but not always. And I love the fact that Primal Alternative allows me to have that flexibility, you know, whether it's, you know, sheep outside that are lambing that I need to attend to, or a girlfriend rings up and says, do you want to go for a horse ride? And I'm like, yes, let's go today. It's a beautiful day. Let's go. I just love that flexibility. And I love that. I mean, obviously, if I've got orders and I know that they have to be delivered on a Friday, well, then my structure will be get baking early so that the breads have got time to cool, so that I can package them and drive to my destination to deliver them. Or if I have a market coming up, obviously there's a little bit more planning and structure. But yeah, I love that freedom. And I find with that freedom that it also helps with my creativity. So with my nutrition background, it allows me an opportunity to tap into my heart and feel and follow that feeling. And if I feel like writing, because I love to write, and I'll write about, I don't know, anything from staying hydrated and having plenty of water during winter time to, you know, just taking time to connect and do some grounding or whatever it might be. I found when I had a 9 to 5 job, that dreaming, that creativity, that feminine intuition, didn't have time for it. And I find with Primal Alternative, I have that. I can connect with myself. I can connect with my family. Sorry, that didn't really answer the question, H.
I love it. Keep talking. And I'm like, oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, and when I am baking, whatever mood takes me, I crank up the tune. So sometimes it's Frank Sinatra, sometimes it's, some rocking country or something from the 80s, and the stereo is blasting and I'm in the kitchen doing my thing in my little zone, and I think my cells in my body are just going, yes, yes, happy day. So yeah.
Love that. I love that so much. And there's something like, I don't know about you, but I get like, in terms of creativity, you don't get creative ideas when you like sit down at a desk and go, okay, be creative. You get your creative ideas when you're like vacuuming the floor, making some dinner. You're like, oh, and you go and write them all down. Ooh, blog idea. Ooh, social media post idea, and go and write it down. Jen's nodding, so I can see that. Yep, I think we're all the same. We come up with the greatest solutions for all of our problems, don't we? In the shower or something, random. But so good, so good. Let's go to Tash. Talk us through a day in the life as a Primalista for you.
Well, when I started, I just baked any old day, just to get customers. And now that I've got a few customers and I've got a couple of stockists, one stockist in particular is on a bit of a timeline. So when Tuesday night, Wednesdays are out for me. I have to have this order done by Wednesday night and delivered. So yeah, I'm a bit under the pump on that day. But I don't have anyone at home generally. I can, like Bron said, I just pump the music, get in the zone, get in the mood, and just pump it out. And yeah, it's done. And then the other stockist, they're pretty cruisy. If she orders bread from me, she's not expecting it tomorrow. And if I've got other things planned, well, yeah, she's happy to wait. It's not a big deal. So that's good. And then I've got customers that some want it now, some don't care, some will wait for the weekend. But I try not to bake on the weekends. But Monday to Friday, I don't seem to care too much what days. I don't have set days. I know some of them have set days. But yeah, I'm pretty happy to, if someone messages me and says, I want a loaf of pumpkin bread tomorrow, I'm happy to do that, providing I've got, I haven't been somewhere or I'm not going to be home to do it, but that doesn't happen very often. But yeah, that's me in a day.
So nice and flexible. You can do what you want when you want.
Yeah.
And then try not to work at the weekends. So that's really kind of like maintaining, because one of the questions we've got here is like, how do you maintain that kind of work-life balance? So having those boundaries around, right, I'm going to try not to bake on the weekend would be a good one of those.
Yeah, definitely. I do a market called Rico on a Saturday morning, and it's a Facebook page, and it's really good because there's no wastage. People order it during the week. You just pop up what you've got to sell. They come through on Saturday morning where the market is held. It's mainly just people selling food, vegetables, fruit, honey, meat, whatever. And yeah, you're just handing out what you've already been paid for and you've made. So I really love that market. I've never tried a normal market where I'm just baking and people come and buy. But yeah, I really love the concept of this Rico.
Yeah, that's a really good. I've never heard of markets doing it that way either. I think it's a really good idea.
It was I think it came about in COVID. So people just stayed in their cars and drove past all the vendors, and you just handed it through the window.
Getting your bread through the window. Feeling like you're living on the edge.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Oh, it's a good idea.
It's a great solution. Yeah, no, I love that. It's so good. So good. Yeah. All right, Neroli, what does a day in the life of a Primalista look like for you?
I'm seeing a bit of a trend here. I'm pretty flexible as well. I'm a bit here, there, everywhere. So I just sort of do it when it suits me, particularly things that have a longer shelf life. So the granola, I'll just always have a number of them on hand. So when they're getting short, I'll just whip those up, especially if my breakfast jar is empty for myself. I'll make sure I've got enough for me. And yeah, with the breads, I just tend to do them as the orders come in, but also as suits me. So after probably a good year, I learnt to be able to say, actually, I won't be able to do that straight away. I'll have to do this to fit in with what I'm doing. So yeah, and I know, and customers have never pushed back. They've always been very respectful. And so yeah, I simply just let them know, okay, I'll be able to have it ready for this time, and then I just make it happen. So yeah, I do it around everything else that I'm doing. So I drop the kids off at school, and then I'll come back and start baking, or I might do some prep work while the kids are getting ready for school, and then I'll come back and pop it in the oven. Yeah, and it works. It works well.
Love it. You can just do, yeah, so flexible. You can, I remember that I had one time when I was starting baking, and then I got, the phone call from the school. Oh, come and pick up little Millie. She's not feeling very well. Like, for goodness sake, I'm in the middle of a bake. I remember I just turned the oven on. I think I had 12 fruit toasts in there, and I just was like, oh, half cooked. What am I going to do? So I just turned off the oven, went into town and pick her up. And it's like a 40-minute round trip because we're in the country. And then I got back and just turned the oven on again. Just kept on baking, and it was just fine, no problem at all. So yeah, very flexible, very kind of like, I wouldn't say foolproof, but very very accommodating recipes.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah.
Good. All right, Jen, what about you? Tell us about a typical day in the life as Primalista Jen.
Yeah, so because I've got a 9 to 5 and a little one, I do have to put those boundaries up around when I can bake. So at the moment, it's usually like on a Friday night and the weekend. I've limited to just doing a couple of markets a month so I can have time off on alternate weekends, and that works for me. I'm starting to ramp up getting direct orders, and everyone's been amazing. Like I let them know a cutoff day and time, so that's usually on a Friday, just so I can prepare the ingredients for their bake on the weekend. And that's working for me. I think I need to have that structure put in place. I can't just say, I'll bake it today for you or tomorrow, because I've got that, family and the work commitments as well. But I do a lot of prep work before the bake day. So all my mixes and ingredients are all weighed out prior. So when it comes to bake day, it's just basically popping it in the Thermomix, popping it in the tins in the oven, and then, it's done. Yeah.
Unmute. Right, cool. Yeah, I was just like, I'm messaging Neroli and Tash and listening to you, Jen. But I was just going to say, can you just go like that with your phone? Yeah, that's good. Then because we've just got a little skinny picture of you, see. There, that's so much better. Yay, thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Now we're going to go to a question, actually. I had a similar question about kind of like challenges and wins. And then Carmen has asked that question as well. So I'm going to ask it in Carmen's words. What was the most challenging aspect of getting into this business? And we'll start with you, please, Bron.
Okay, so for me, the most challenging thing was council, as H knows. And but yeah, it was just challenging in the sense that it just took forever. And when I say forever, it took me 4 months from the time that I decided I wanted to become a Primalista to the time that I got it over the line. But from what I've learned from other Primalistas is that just really depends on your local council and where you live. And I also live on a farm, so that kind of made it a little bit tricky because they were, you know, they weren't concerned, but I had to tick extra boxes with my rainwater and things like that, with New South Wales Health. And being in New South Wales, we're like the most overgoverned state in Australia. But anyway, for good reason, I'm sure. For good reason, I'm sure.
So can you talk us through like some of the challenges that you had with council? So you've mentioned, you know, the time frame. I mean, most councils will have a 30-day processing time. You know, some people, like we saw in the group the other day, Jo, she put in her application one day and the next day they're like, good luck with your business, you're approved. I mean, that's how easy it can be.
Yeah.
And it was really easy,
Yeah.
you know, it is generally kind of like 8 out of 10 Primalistas. It's easy. And then for like the other 2, it's a little bit harder. So you had time frames, you had to jump through extra hoops, like with rainwater. What were the other things that were kind of like holding it up and making them take so long?
Just people, like the guy that I was dealing with just wouldn't answer my emails and wouldn't return my phone calls. And fortunately, the lovely ladies who answered the phone at council on reception, they recorded every time I rang. And they're like, do you want me to leave a message? I'm like, sure, I'd love you to leave a message, because I left one yesterday and the day before and the day before that and 2 days before that. So I just became the squeaky wheel, and I didn't get upset. I didn't get emotional. I didn't take it personally, but I just got to a point and I just rang every day and emailed and just wanted confirmation that they had received what they wanted. So it was really just a waiting for council. It wasn't that yes, I had to go and get talk to New South Wales Health about the rainwater, and we put in a rainwater filtration system, but that again wasn't necessary. I could have just bought water from Woolworths in, you know, like, because that's how much water goes into the breads. There's not, you know, not a lot of water goes into the breads. So that I just decided that I wanted to put the filtration on the system on the house for everyone in the family, not just for my business. And this was an opportunity for me to write it off on my tax. So business put it in. So that was just a no-brainer for me. I was like, well, let's just do that.
Yeah. So really it's sort of, and we're on tank water as well. And that was a problem for me. And the council just said they're quite helpful at providing solutions. You know, you don't have to have everything perfect. They could be like, oh, well, everything's fine, but you can't use your tank water. So yeah, just buying it from the supermarket is an easy workaround. So yours was really just the environmental health officer that you were dealing with took so bloomin' long to get back to you. So when he finally did get back to you, was it quite a straightforward process?
Yeah, it was a nothing really, and it wasn't even environmental health officer. It was the planning section, because I had to do a full DA, like I was building a new house, and do, you know, environmental impact studies, which I thought was quite funny because I live in a mining town, and they were concerned about my environmental impact, and I'm like, I'm baking bread. I think I'm pretty safe. So.
It's so funny.
And the other one was noise pollution. And I'm like, I live on 30 acres surrounded by other farms, and there's tractors and harvesters and mining equipment going, and maybe it was my music, maybe it was Frank Sinatra just singing too loudly they were concerned about.
It's funny, and you know, the forms that they use, like for your business, are the same as they use for every single business. So you have to kind of, and your attitude and approach was spot on, Bron. And you've really got to have that like little kind of tongue in cheek. Oh, this is a bit silly, but you know, you've got to do it. Some states want you to do a DA or a design application, but for other states, it's just a case of notifying the Department of Planning of what you want to do. And that's really just to make sure you're not going to be a noise issue. You're not going to suddenly open a cafe in the street and cause a traffic issue, which obviously we're not, because we're just baking bread from home. Yeah. And, you know, you're not on your own, because, you know, you and I, we were emailing backwards and forwards and, you know, sharing not very kind words about your council, and just having that, like, you know, someone to kind of like sound it off and bounce ideas off, and you're not on your own, you know. So it's worth doing, because you only got to do it once, and then after that it's just an annual renewal, which some Primalistas get an annual inspection, but most of them, you just got to pay your money and that's it. So there we go. Thank you, Bron. So Tash, what would you say has been the most challenging aspect of getting into this business? I know what you're going to say.
Exactly the same. That would have to have been the most frustrating part of it. Head banging up against the wall, dealing with people that had no common sense whatsoever. And again, wouldn't get back to you, dealing with different people. You never spoke to the same person. I think that went on for 3 months. And I thought I'd be home and hosed, moved into our home, beautiful big kitchen, 2 sinks. You know, I just never thought I'd have an issue. And we live on tank water, so, you know, they said you need to get it filtered. So we got that whole system popped on the tanks. Even though under the sink was filtered, they needed the whole house done.
Or in case one of your loaves
and
of
then
bread
in the
went
end,
for a shower. It's so silly, isn't it?
maybe. And then that was okay. And then it was, I wasn't allowed to use almond meal. And I said, well, that's pretty much the base of everything that this stuff's made from. Trying to tell one guy what almond meal was, he thought it was a flour, didn't know it was made from almonds. So again, you were just rolling my eyes. And then we came up with an idea. You helped me a lot with that. We've got a residence in Brisbane City Council. So this was Moreton Shire Council, Brisbane City Council, within, I'm going to say, a week of putting my application in there for the kitchen at our townhouse. And it got approved. He came a week, approved me and said, you can start cooking tonight if you like. That was it. It was so simple, so simple. So yeah, it just shows you how, you know, I think there's 3 councils in the Brisbane area, and I would have thought Brisbane City would have been the most difficult, but turns out it's not.
Now, Brisbane City are one of the easiest councils to work with. They're wonderful.
So easy.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, you know, like with your council, like in some of the things, they just contradicted themselves. Like sometimes they were coming back saying you can make these products, but you can't make those products. And we're like, well, they've got the same ingredients as those products. So like, why not?
I know.
It was just so frustrating. So, you know, it's a pain, but there's always a solution. There's always a workaround. And even if
you want it bad enough.
Yeah, if you really want to do it, there's always a workaround. And so don't, you know, let it put you off. And one of the other Primalistas who's also in your council, she's decided that actually she wants to hire a kitchen. And, you know, you can hire kitchens. She's gone to a really quite a fancy one, but you can hire kitchens at like your local RSL hall, some school canteens. All of these places have got commercial kitchens, and you can just hire them. And if you're like a one woman in the community baking, you know, even like the bowling club, the footy club, they've all got, you know, where you get your hot dog and your chips when you go and watch the kids play sport at the weekend. All of these places are commercial kitchens, and you can usually hire them, especially if you're associated with the club. So, and some people prefer to do that. They can have all their gear there, they work, they do their bake, they come home, they haven't got tapioca starch all over their kitchen, you know. So things to think about.
That was my backup plan, H, was the CWA had just spent, I don't know, some ridiculous amount of money upgrading their kitchen. So I was almost at that point. I was like, if council aren't going to hurry up, I'm just going to go and, you know, rent that space 1 or 2 days a week and do that.
Yeah, perfect. Neroli, what was the most challenging aspect of getting into this business?
Well, good news for people living in WA. It was pretty easy for me. The council was so good. And I actually look forward to seeing our so I'm in Joondalup Council, if anyone knows Joondalup, and I look forward to seeing my food rep guy who comes out every year to say g'day, and we just have a nice chat. And he's so cruisy, he is so easy, and there was no problems whatsoever. Now, H, you did say you only have to do it once. that is unless you move. So I'm looking
Mm.
at having to do it a second time, which I'm dreading. I'm really worried about it. But hopefully I'll have another success story. It's just like having a second child, isn't it? If your first child is such a dream, do you risk having a second one in case they're going to be a nightmare? Anyway, I went on to have 5 children, so surely it's worth the risk. So my biggest challenge was probably me and my fear of technology and just looking at computer programs and creating spreadsheets, all that sort of thing. I'm useless at it. I'm not very good at all. But like H said, you don't do it by yourself. And so, H held my hand and we went through it again and again and again, quite a few times, until it finally sunk in. Okay, now I know what I'm doing. And I had a beautiful friend who created a perfect spreadsheet for me, which I now enter all my details in. So I can very quickly have a look at it and see what my best-selling bread was for the month, or my I don't know, different details. So it's lovely being able to do this not alone. I'm surrounded with people who are capable and encouraging, and who I can depend on.
I love it. And there's not a huge amount of tech to it, is it? Really, it's just getting your log on to Kajabi, which is the training platform where the recipes are and the videos are, and it tells you how to set up your business and get your counsel and all of that kind of thing. But I remember that was really the only issue you had with, you were like, how do I log into this thing? And I was like, this is your username, this is your password. Try again. and then once you were in, like 2 weeks later, it was something so ridiculous. You doing your first sellout market. I just remember I was like, whoa, this woman couldn't even log into the website. Now look at her.
That's right.
So good. I love it. Love it. All right, Jen, tell us, what was the most challenging aspect of getting into this business?
I haven't had any major challenges. My counsel was straightforward, easy. I think my inspection, the rep was here for maybe, 10 minutes in my kitchen and signed me off. Like, they didn't really ask for a lot. It was really easy. Probably finding time to do the admin side of things, like my finances, and I know it's easy to do it once a month. I've heard H talk about it, but it's just, that's more on me to get in that routine of, just documenting everything. But it's early days, so I'll find my groove.
Yeah. And, like I, do now, but didn't then. And I even just had all my money coming into just our everyday, daily expenses, joint account. It was a mess. Everything was all messed up. And I didn't have any technology. I just had an invoice book, that you get from the post office. Just write down what they had, and then they'd pay you. And, it doesn't, and then you might want to find out a little bit more about, what your best selling product is and all of that kind of thing. And then you can go and do those things, but you don't have to, it's not essential. And there is training on how to do your business finances as well as part of the model, which is pretty cool, because that's a very good training to get. All right, we are moving on to a really cool question. So we'll start with Bron again. Can you share a moment when you felt particularly proud or successful in your Primalista journey?
Okay, I think for me, it was my first real stockist. So we have a lot of markets in the area, and I've sort of been dabbling in those to find which ones would be the best match. And I did a series I made up some little sample packs and went around to some local businesses that were selling whole foods or organic co-ops and things like that. And I did a lot of talking, and a lot of my sales training from real estate came into play. And I had a lot of people say to me, "Oh, it sounds great, sounds fantastic." And then can you contact us next week? And then you would follow up next week. And so there was a lot of footwork and a lot of, trying not to, having come from a real estate background and having delved into cold calling people, hi, I'm Bronwyn, do you want to sell your house? Selling bread is way easier. And people don't see a real estate agent coming and go the other way. At least with bread, people are like, oh, what have you got there? That looks interesting. So my biggest success was when my first stockist, who now just blows me away, they're ordering, fortnightly, and I'm talking in excess of $600 orders. So that's really exciting. That's like, oh, I have a real business. Look at me go. Woohoo.
Love it. Love it. Brilliant. What about you, Tash? Can you share a moment when you felt particularly proud or successful in your Primalista journey?
I just really love hearing people say that it tastes really good, and their kids love it, whereas I've never liked anything like that before. If they've got kids with celiac or just gluten intolerance, every time I go to the Real Rico market, there's always someone that comes back that has reordered and comes and just tells me how good it is. And people that buy it from the stockists that I know in town will message me or reply to my reels or stories that they've bought a loaf and how good it is. And also a couple of my friends who do a lot of social media stuff. At the start, I gave them a free loaf of bread or bagels or granola or whatever, and just asked them if they could just do a nice little shout out for me. And that seemed to work well too. And that's always a bit of fun, and having people see it and comment on it, just makes you feel good.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. And what about you? What about you, Neroli? Any proud moments or successes you want to share?
I've got them constantly, just that interaction with people. And one of the things I love about this business is you get to meet the people, and they are just such lovely, lovely people, and they're genuine, and they say, like, this is so good. I finally can eat something and my stomach doesn't hurt. Or, I've almost finished that loaf of bread that I picked up from you yesterday. I can't wait to try a different one. Or, oh, it's so nice being able to feed my daughter with stuff that she can eat. So just a couple of weeks ago, I was at the market, and a mum and her daughter came, and they were just beside themselves because the daughter almost hadn't come to the market. She said, oh, there's never anything I can eat, Mum. But she came along, and her mum just honestly wanted to buy everything. She was just so excited that finally she could feed her daughter, spoil her. It was just so lovely. So, and getting those repeat orders constantly, that they truly love those products, and they will share that with you as well. So they say to you how much they enjoy it. So there's constantly great moments.
Yeah, I used to love the markets for that, like, community immersion. Like, I used to love the baking at home, with Frank Sinatra on, like Bron said, or a good podcast, and just, you didn't have to put your makeup on or your bra on, and you could just like bake at home and hang out the washing and do all the other things you want to do. But then to go to the markets and have that, like, I would just be buzzing after I'd like, and also like quite tired because you'd done lots of baking before, but to get all that feedback, and even like now, like, and that was like 10 years ago, the people I met at the markets then, like, they're my people. They're into food. They've got all these weird things that I've got too, and they get it. And even some of those people that I met then are still best friends now, like, that I met through this whole world. And you don't expect that, like, you think you're just going to be baking, but then you meet these people, or you bake for someone famous, or you go to an incredible event and meet your people that you you admire and look up to and have been your mentors on the journey, and all of that's such a buzz as well. Very much fun. All right, Jen, tell us proud, happy moments.
Yeah, probably my first market that I did. I signed up to a local market. It's a flea market, so people selling like secondhand things like tools and CDs and really random stuff, you know. Not a lot of kind of artisan foods there. It's not a farmer's market. It's a real kind of, interesting place. And I thought I'll go along because I wanted to get my name out there, and it was a starting point. And I ended up selling out of everything that I baked, which was a good feeling. And then also just meeting like-minded people has been like a great achievement as well. And those repeat orders, so people contacting me saying, you know, I loved this bread, can I please order another one. I did a delivery recently, and a mum and daughter answered the door, and the daughter said, you know, thank you so much for, you know, this delicious food, because there's not a lot of gluten-free food that, you know, tastes amazing. And she was probably about 10 years old, and that was, it was really lovely to hear.
Yeah, especially from the kids, because they're like, no filters. They're just telling it like it is. Yeah, love that. That's so cool. So let's do a little bit of a quick fire round. I've got 3 quick fire questions, and 3 or maybe 2. Well, I think 2 actually. So 3. So I'm going to ask a question, and if we could just, Primalistas can just raise your hand or shake your head, like so. Oh, you just do a nod or a shake. That's right. Yeah, right. So something I get asked quite a lot is, you know, oh, people still buying this bread? It's $16.95 a loaf. Are people still buying this bread during these high inflationary times?
Yes. Yep.
Did you say shake or nod? I don't know. Yes.
Yes. 100%.
Love it. And then the next question I was going to say, so it's a bit of about strategy, like how you've grown your customer base. So just give us a raise of hands if you do a market. Oh, all 4. If you have a website. No, 2 Primalistas have got a website. If you sell into shops. 3 Primalistas out of 4. And finally, if you promote your products on social media.
Yes. Everybody.
Cool. All right. So that gives you a bit of an idea of where you can have your customer base from. Yeah, that was 2, wasn't it? 2 questions. All right. So we're nearly at the end of the Primalista panel. So if there are any other questions that the live people have got that they want to ask, time is running out. So make sure you ask your questions. But the next question I've got for you panelists is, it's about the Primalista community. Now, when I talk to people about it being a sisterhood and about it being, you know, non-competitive, super collaborative, everyone's a bit like, yeah, right. I bet it is. I bet it's not. I bet everyone's really bitchy. I've worked with women before, you know, that they do think that. So, I mean, I know it's not, but I'd love to hear your experience of the community and, yeah, what your take on it is. How would you describe it to an outsider? Bron.
Oh, okay. I just found everyone really lovely. And when I first started out and I started baking, and I had questions about labels or about, you know, a bread that wasn't quite working the way that I wanted it to, or anything really, if I just couldn't find something on the training module or something, not one person, like 4 or 5 people just. And almost instantly, people just started throwing in their ideas for me. And it might just be sharing an experience. It might not be asking a question. And even, you know, as far as in reverse, if people have asked anything, I'm more than happy to go, well, this is how I did it, or this is how it worked for me, because I don't feel there's any threat. I don't feel that there's any competition. Like I have other ladies that are in my sort of zone or area, or whatever you want to call it, and there's never been any, oh, I'm going to this market, you can't do this market, or any of that. It just kind of works. It just works.
Perfect way to describe it. And, you know, we in our agreement, we all agree that nobody is going to approach anyone else's stockist. And I don't even know why we have to have it in there, because nobody would anyway, right? Because nobody wants to step on anyone's toes. And imagine going into a shop that's already selling Primal Alternative and saying, hey, buy it from me instead. They'd be like, well, what for? Because if we all charge the same price, what's the incentive? It's very weird. And so you don't need to do it. So once you get your stockist, it's yours. No one else is going to touch it. But, you know, yeah, like if you've got somebody down the road, you can share postage with, you know, if you get some bulk ingredients together. Or as I see, it's happened quite a lot, especially in Perth, when there's lots of Primalistas living nearby, running out of labels. Or there's one time somebody's oven broke and she had to go and borrow someone else's oven. It's just like wonderful. And she was still able to do her orders. So that's so cool. So Tash, tell us a bit about your experience of the Primalista community.
Yeah, everyone was welcoming when I first joined up. You can ask any silly question you like. If you think it's silly, it's not really silly. And, you know, there is a lot of info to get through at the start, and, you know, you might miss something. So instead of trying to go back through all the info, you can just get on there, ask a quick question, and generally you'll get someone to answer it for you. And, you know, you can search it up on the Facebook page if someone else has asked that question before. But yeah, mainly the only things I probably did ask at the start was, you know, with the breads, were they cooked properly? You know, with the fruit loaf and the turmeric loaf, they're the two hardest ones for me. I've got a beautiful oven, but it really is quite a hot oven. So I find that they've got to be cooked on like 100 degrees. So I think at the start I was asking all those questions about people's ovens, but yeah, everyone's super accommodating and non-bitchy. So it's good.
And fun, like everyone's like fun, you know, like it's not like really serious or dog, you know, everyone's just like has a bit of a laugh, which is good, because life should be fun, right? It shouldn't be too boring and serious and corporate.
Exactly.
That's what we've all trying to get away from. Neroli, tell us about the Primalista community.
Yeah, I just think you join this club that everyone has the same lifestyle, the same values, and you immediately have a bond. It's so awesome. It's so great being able to connect with people all over Australia. And you just get each other straight away. I've had the privilege of being able to meet up with some people in WA who also are bakers, and that's an added bonus. Meeting up, and just there's no awkwardness. You just instantly can chat away, and it's beautiful.
Love it. How about you, Jen?
Yeah, pretty much the same experience. Like the Facebook group is really supportive. There's loads of information on there. There's no silly questions. I also met up with a Primalista that lives near me. I met her at a market, and she straight away gave me her number, said to call her for, you know, any tips and tricks. We need more Primalistas in Vic though. There's a lot of demand for it here, but I don't think there's that many down our way. So if I can help any people from Vic with any questions, and definitely reach out, because there's definitely a market for more Vic Primalistas down here.
Yeah, that's so good of you. So nice. All right, so I've got a quick fire. It's just literally a one-word answer, and then we're going to wrap up with if you could give one piece of advice to a potential Primalista who was once in your shoes. If you think back to when you first started, what would it be? That's going to be the final question. So if you want to have a little think about that. But before we go around with that final question, I'd love to know if we could just go around each Primalista. What is your best-selling product, Bronwyn?
Oh, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. Oh, I'd have to say the pumpkin loaf. Yeah.
Tash,
I think the
bestseller?
pumpkin-
The zucchini, even though I love the pumpkin, the zucchini, a lot of people buy the zucchini.
Neroli?
I think turmeric and hemp.
Jen?
Pumpkin loaf.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the pumpkin, the pumpkin loaf wins.
Pumpkin loaf for sure. Yeah, I get orders every week for pumpkin loaf.
Wow.
There you
Mm.
go. And it's interesting
I
that
love
it's
the
the
turmeric and
loaves are the best sellers, not like the cookies or the granolas or the pizzas or the wraps or the pancake mix or the brownie mix or the brownies, you know, like the loaves. Yeah, but there is more to
Yeah.
it than just bread. About 25% of the range is just the bread. And then all the other things as well. That's really cool. I love that. It's good to know. My bestseller was fruit toast. The OG.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a toss up between the fruit toast and that's why I was like, oh, that and the low carb hemp granola. My mother-in-law buys that 5 bags at a time. That's she doesn't live near me, but she buys it. She's like, she just can't live without it. So yeah.
That's so good. All right, so
Top
the
one.
final question, and then we'll wrap up and announce the door prize winner. If you could give one piece of advice to a potential Primalista, what would it be, Bron?
Do it afraid. Just take the step. Just do it afraid. You know, you follow your heart because there's so many people in the world doing things that don't light them up, that they're not passionate about. And Primal Alternative just keeps giving back. And like the girls have said, going to the markets, talking to the customers that you're speaking with, working to your own schedule, being at home for your family when you need to be, all of that stuff. And once you start on that positive momentum, I think it's really addictive. It's a bit like a drug, actually. It just keeps getting better every day.
Amazing. Tash, what would your one piece of advice be to a potential Primalista?
If you're health minded, or you have the issues that people who buy our products do, then you're already halfway there. It's it is just a great product to sell. It sells itself really, and it's very easy. And you're your own boss, even though there's a few challenges when you start with some of us, but it's worth fighting for. It's worth getting into it. Yeah. Just keep at it.
Neroli?
I would advise that you try some because it's hard to jump in with both feet if you don't really know what you're selling. And so if you haven't tried any Primal Alternative, get your hands on some, fall in love because you will. Check out that ingredients list and see how amazing the ingredients are. And then if you have a fire in your belly thinking, yeah, this is something I'd love to offer people, then make that appointment to have an interview.
Perfect. And Jen?
I would say trust the process and believe in yourself. For me, it's like a fail-safe business. It's all done for you. Having started a business before, I know how hard it is to, make sales, but I was making sales straight away. I don't have a baking background. I mean, I can cook, but when it came to baking, I wasn't a baker or had an interest in it. But, I loved the products and I wanted to do it. So, I took that step and that sort of leap. And yeah, here I am.
There we go. So wonderful finishing notes. And I think it's very good that Neroli said it's a good idea to try the product, because actually what's interesting is I would say probably 90% of Primalistas have not tried the product before they join, but they look at the product page. So you can see on the Primal Alternative website, just primalalternative.com/product. So you can see all of those beautiful ingredients that Neroli is talking about and the pictures. And if you will get excited thinking, wow, how can they make such amazing food like that from healthy ingredients like that? So yeah, so if you're health minded and the ingredients excite you, trust the process, do it afraid. Yeah, I love that. That's such a really positive note to end on. But if you do want to try not just the product, and this is what I always recommend to Primalistas when they're coming into the business, you don't want to just try the product, you want to try the recipes, right? You want to think, can I make $600 worth of orders of this stuff week in, week out? So, and that's why it's a good idea to come to the bake along tomorrow. So it's going to be same time, same place, 1 o'clock Perth time and 3 o'clock your time over East. Perth and over East. That's the only two places in Australia. And and we're going to have a bake along. We're going to make a Primal Alternative-esque loaf. It's not one of our loaves because obviously we don't give away the recipes that easily, but it's similar. So you'll get the ingredients list to come and join me. We'll actually bake it together. So I'll have a little kitchen cam set up, and then while it's baking, we'll make a cuppa and we'll all sit down and you can ask me questions. I'll ask you some questions, and then we can see how everyone's loaves turn out, and you can have a taste and see if you like it. So that's always lots and lots of fun. So make sure you join us for that tomorrow. And now I'm going to pick our door prize winner today, and it is it's Carmen. Carmen is the door prize winner today. Congratulations, Carmen. And if it's the Carmen, I think it is, I think we've already spoken, and you might be meeting up with Jen soon anyway. So maybe Jen can bake for you. So that's worked out really well. So Carmen, if you could email me at info@primalalternative.com with yay. Oh, actually, I'll put you two in touch. Jen, if you could just organize a prize, 2 Primal Alternative products. Just do whatever fits in with your bake, usually a loaf and some cookies or some granola and cookies, and then invoice to me. That would be my gift.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Any final things that anybody wants to say before we wrap this up?
No.
Bron, go for it.
I just forgot to mention, which I think needs mentioning, and I think all the girls will agree with me, that H has done an absolutely amazing job of putting this business model together. Having been someone who started their own business, and I think Jen touched on it before, it is just incredible. It's the training that you get, the marketing, the branding. If you've ever started your own business, all of that stuff that goes on before you even open the door. Big clap to H. She's done an amazing job.
Thank you. That's so kind. Thank you, Bron. Thank you, Bron. So thank you so much for joining us today. Primalistas, if we could just get a little picture of everybody waving, that would be wonderful. And all wave together. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to everyone for joining me today. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. If you want to be part of this amazing community, book a call, primalalternative.com/call, and let's have a chat. All right, y'all. See you. Thank you.